Welcome to the DC United Kingdom podcast. This is season 3, episode 7. There we go. I had to count on my fingers, it's getting to that point. And I'm your host, James Graham. Alongside me, you'll see I have a guest who hasn't been on for a little while. And I think it was back in July of last year. So a lot of things have happened. But my guest today is Daniel Wise. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
Oh, James, I'm doing great. It's good to be back. Yeah, July. We were in a very different space at that time. It was, MLS moved down to the bubble in Florida, and I think they had just started off their MLS's back tournament, and we were in uncertain times. The uncertain times were very fresh.
Yes,
and yeah, it was one of those things where I had a very minimal setup at the time. I did not have my microphone or the pop filter or anything like that. I was very much kind of that garage band, DIY phase at the moment. But no, I am so happy to be back, and I'm happy to be on the show again. I want to say, I think the last time I was on was probably the DC United pub quiz.
Oh yes,
if memory serves me correct.
Yes.
I failed miserably. I remember I came in thinking I was going to come in there and do well, but because I was sort of like the fill-in. I was the reserve coming in, and that was for Sarah Kalassi, and I let her down so terribly. So but I am back. 2021, new season for DC United, new season for me. Hernan Losada, he has come in and boy, I will get into this at a certain point during the show, but I'm getting vibes of Arsene Wenger from him. The way he has come into this club, and some of the articles I've read about him and interviews he's given, I think he's come with a frank assessment of what needs to be done with the club, how players need to essentially get better with their fitness, get better with their buy-in. I think he's got players who can buy in, but I think he needs players who, on that mental and physical level, need to reach a higher point. And that's what Wenger did when he went to Arsenal. Is he, laid down the law with, how players' diets should be, how they should be regimented on sort of like a week-to-week basis. And he really sort of solidified that club to a good consistency. So, from what I understand with how he's approached this, that's sort of what comes to my mind with him.
Yeah. And the bit that you mentioned about the diet, that has definitely happened, because on the previous episode with Griffin Yao, we did actually talk about what has Hernan done. And the one thing that they did mention was the fact that nutrients play a huge part in your performance on and off the pitch. And he hadn't realized that. And there was something that he came out with, which was, in terms of protein, the less legs it has, the better, which I was a little bit disappointed about, because I love my beef.
Right.
And that's got 4 legs, and apparently that's not very good. So he was saying things like anything from the earth is great. Yep, which is fine. So nuts, chickpeas, things like that. That's all top of the list. Followed by fish, because fish have no legs. Does an octopus technically have legs?
I would consider those phalanges.
I love that word.
Technically, legs are phalanges as well. I don't know.
Such a great word.
That is on a medical term or basis. That's how I would describe an octopus's legs or tentacles, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, some people call them tentacles, some people call them phalanges. There you go.
Just a weirdo whose mother was a nurse. So that's how I get that.
Nice. in the comments, do you call them tentacles or do you call them phalanges? Or drop me a DM on Twitter. Why not? But yeah, so you were saying that fish is the second best, then chickens. So there's that, turkey, and then followed by anything with four legs, so pigs, sheep,
Yeah.
if you have lamb, and beef.
Which I tell you, yeah, growing up in the Midwest, I mean, that's what we grew up on. Is anything that was on four legs was essentially part of your diet every single day. So, that's an interesting way to sort of look at it and to kind of gauge what's good food, and that's a very simple way to kind of drive that into memory. So no, that is a really good mindset. And man, I think it's going to be rough. Before we kind of get into the games, I want, I think we're still going to see some remnants from 2020. I don't know if this team is going to make waves off the bat.
I mean, we'd hope so.
We can definitely hope so. We dream, but gosh, we had a really good start against NYCFC.
Yeah.
And then faltered in the second game against New England and against San Diego, who put up 4 last weekend. Is going to be tough to sort of put, to play against. So we will have to see how we sort of respond. One thing that is reminding me of 2020 is having a striker who seems utterly allergic to scoring goals. Not to knock Sorga, because I think he played incredibly well. He was covering every inch of grass that he needed to in his role. But we have a very rough build-up play. The building blocks are there, but the execution sort of doesn't seem to connect at the end. And what was unnerving to me even after the NYCFC game was the fact that our 2 goals came from defenders, essentially.
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm just that's going to be something I will probably scrutinize or really pay attention to as the season goes on. Is are the sort of up the field players going to rise up and start scoring?
Yeah.
And so
I think we're looking towards the likes of Assad and Flores to be contributing more than what they have done so far and what they have done a lot recently. Flores didn't have the best of 2020s. Granted, he was injured. It was that stop-start season. And I know there was a lot of pressure from the fans for him to come in and have an immediate impact. But when you come in, you've picked up a couple of knocks at the start of the season. You then have a major injury towards the end of the season. You've had 3 pre-seasons. I think we can give them benefit of the doubt for 2020. I think we can just kind of write that off. I think we have done with a lot of teams and a lot of players, just write that year off. This is a new year. This is a new start. He's had a full preseason to get himself going.
Yeah.
And we've already seen the amount of running he does. And in the first game, he was top of MLS for the amount of distance he covered.
Yeah.
So it's not without a lack of effort and a lack of trying. He's doing a lot of defending, which I think we're going to be asking from every single player this season. And he's doing a lot of running forward. And I think once he's got that first goal, it'll click.
Yeah.
And that'll be it. Then he'll be flying. But he just needs to get that first goal. And it's like with any type of forward, the longer that goes without scoring that goal, the more difficult it becomes. So hopefully you'll just get a nice little cheeky tap in.
Yeah. And I guess, to sort of break it down a little further, going back to the NYC game, From what I understand, with sort of the chatter that was going on in the DC UK supporter group,
Yep.
hashtag join.
Yes,
Hashtag if you
absolutely.
haven't joined, do so. It's
Yep.
a great little group. But I think everyone really saw the change of pace
Yep.
and the mentality in the players.
Yep.
With a team that was looked a lot hungrier to come out to play like very high pressing, high pressure type of soccer, and to at least show that like what they can get into that attacking third. I think they did a good job of keeping possession, of keeping or staying within New York's attacking third quite a bit.
Yeah.
They looked very sharp, but again, kind of going back. Not and man, I have to say, if anything, so New York goes
Yep.
ahead in the first half,
Yep.
and in the second half, DC looking really good again, playing that high pressure, high up the pitch type of soccer. Had a nice series of passes, and one of those balls sort of found its way dead center in the field, and Heinz Ike comes in and just takes a cracking shot at that ball and put it in.
Yeah.
Which was amazing, because I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, which one of our midfielders did that? But then when they announced it was Heinz Ike, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And that shows, how much Losada is really telling the team to play as, sort of high and aggressively as they possibly can. But to your point, they have to run a lot, because they have to get back, and they have to play a very tight defensive shell once they do lose possession.
Yeah. I mean, it's just to kind of go through some of the stats from that game.
Yeah.
So we only had 38% possession, but
wow,
we didn't look out of control, which is the main thing. And I mentioned this to again on the previous show. If you missed it, go and check it out with Griffin Yao.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you do. It's not how much of the ball that you got. It's what you do with it that counts, and that's what we did. So when we had the ball, we attacked. We were relentless with that. But when we didn't have the ball, we were able to close them down. We were able to win the ball back. We were able to turn it over. And then just to go on that, so in the whole game, we had 11 shots. New York only had 12.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that we were a bit more efficient with our attack and play. We had 13. We committed 13 fouls to their 18. The scarf's falling over. By the way, Cherry Blossom, gorgeous. Just bring the kit now, because we've got the scarf. It's a beautiful scarf. If you're not watching on YouTube, and if you're watching this on your podcatcher, you just go online, just look it up, because I'm holding it. It's beautiful. I love it. I just want the Cherry Blossom kit. Third kit. That'll do. Keep a kit.
Yeah.
Bill Hamid wants it. He said so. He'd have it 1,000%. The keeper jersey. You don't really see too many changes year on year. And I think there was a tweet that Chris Seitz sent out saying about how we should have a Cherry Blossom keeper shirt. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think that's something that would be unique to our city, obviously. I think if we had a Cherry Blossom jersey, I think that would sell 10 times more.
And yeah, so we had committed 13 fouls to their 18, so they were a bit more aggressive. But as you rightly said, Heinz Ike scream it in the 39th minute of the game. If I can, I'm going to put it in right now, so we'll be able to rewatch it. And if not, we're going to crack on, like Heinz Ike did to that ball into the top corner. And then 5 minutes later, so we score that goal. We're not going to wrestle our laurels. We're going again. And the Gressel Canals partnership, like they did in the first game of 2019 against Colorado Rapids, from a corner yet again.
Yes.
2 seasons in a row. Gressel, no, it's off the training field. You know it's happened because you can see how perfect they did it and how perfect they worked it. Just sends this ball lovely over to the edge of the box. Knaus somehow doesn't have anyone on him. And I still don't understand why they left him open. That's defensive error 101 right there.
Yes.
And Knaus, all he does with the inside of his foot, side foots it into the bottom corner. Not without that much, it didn't have that much pace on it either. It was just perfect placement. Sean Johnson didn't have any chance of getting towards it. 2-1. Fred Brion flings him to the ground. Moses Linares is going absolutely mental on the commentary.
Yeah.
And we are loving it. That first half, apart from the goal in the 15th minute, I think it was, Tati Castellanos, I really despise that player. Just goes down far too easy.
Mm-hmm.
Has a bit of a mouth on him. Got sent off in the preseason friendly that we had, or scrimmages, whichever side of the pond you're on. And it was just bizarre. But yeah, we went 1-0 down. We didn't look defeated. It wasn't a case of, oh, here we go again. We just had that mentality to kind of say, like, this is a new season. Let's show what we're about. We're at home. We've got the fans, which was absolutely fantastic to hear because you couldn't see them on TV because they decided to put those graphics up again. I don't know whether you saw that, Daniel, but I was a little bit disappointed to see that. I was just like, oh. You could see little heads popping up above the graphics.
Yes.
But, you know.
Disappointing, yes. But at the same time, hearing the songs again, just, from the genuine fans was really nice to hear again. That's been one of the things. And it was when soccer sort of returned, when the Premier League or, all the European seasons sort of rushed through to like get everything in there, and they were playing in empty stadiums and all that. It was very strange. In fact, there was an appeal to it at first. I kind of liked it, but after a while, you didn't have that electricity.
Yeah.
And it was really tough to stay invested in that. So, 2020, even for me, was a tough year to even kind of keep up with things.
Yeah.
There was just so much going on. And it was, I don't know. I don't know if I was necessarily invested as I would have been in years past. Yeah. And so that's why, I sort of said it's nice having this sense of normalcy coming back. And I think, once fans start coming back into the stadiums, soccer is just going to be really, really that much more worthwhile to watch. Because that's part of it is just that atmosphere. And exactly. I just really love that. So can't wait for the full return.
Oh no, that's just going to be amazing. You're right with the atmosphere side of things. Because when you watch soccer on TV and you've got that fake crowd noise, it just, the fact that they can't get the timing right when a shot happens and they start cheering, but it's gone to the corner flag, and you're like, yeah, that was nowhere near. You've pressed the wrong button. And it's just it just
feels like FIFA.
Yeah, it feels like FIFA. It's not real.
Yep.
But it's actually real. And at the weekend, we finally here had I think it was our second game with fans.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the Carling Cup final, and there was 8,000 fans in Wembley Stadium, so almost 10% capacity.
Wow. Okay. And
just the actual proper crowd noise of cheering and actual normal songs, and it was just, I'm not a fan of either team who were in it, so it's Man City versus Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
But to watch it from a neutral point of view, and to watch it, the fact that we had real crowd noise was just, it was bliss. Yeah. Real bliss. And I can't wait to be able to come back to, and I don't really go to matches over here because the local team aren't very good. Cheltenham Town, they're in League 2, which is not great. My team,
thick of it, thick of the EFL,
or the proper league, as people would like to call it. My team, 230 mile away, so I'm not exactly going to go and travel to see them every weekend.
Right.
So my sport I get to watch down here is rugby, which I know is starting to grow over there in USA because of the Major League Rugby now, which is great to see. And you can actually watch every game as well, which only found out for this season. So you can go into there's something called the Rugby Network app. You can download it on iOS and Android. So go ahead, do it. And they've got all the games on there, and it's fantastic. And it's not region locked.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh,
so you get to, now DC has a team in that, right?
We do. Yeah. So they're called Old Glory DC. For those of you who don't know, we had last year the South African World Cup winning captain in our team, which was just unreal. I'm surprised we were able to pull that off. This year is a bit of a stop-start, but from what I've seen, it seems to be coming on really well. The team now play at Segra Field as well.
Yeah.
So they're playing on. Now, I still get confused by this because we call turf, what we know as turf over here is actual real proper grass.
Right.
But turf to you guys over there,
it's the synthetic rubber, got the rubber kind of dirt or whatever, and the weird, incredibly sharp
it's
grass.
Horrible when you do a slide tackle on it.
It's like knives.
Oh, it's like,
yeah.
I'm gonna feel the burn, not for working out, but because I've slid on. Well, we call those 4G pitches. It's nothing to do with the mobile network, so I don't know. But yeah, they're playing on that, so you can. I wouldn't want to play rugby on that, definitely.
No.
But it's nice.
I mean, rugby players, they're kind of a cut above normal people,
yes.
and they kind of eat pain for breakfast. So
yeah, I mean they get knocked out and just get back up again and still play whilst they're knocked out, because that's how rugby players go. But it's good to see. There's you've got a former England captain playing in the league as well, Chris Robshaw. Ben Foden, I think, is out there as well, another former England player. So it's kind of at the early stages of its history. I think it's only been around for a couple of years now. So they're in the what we would know as the early years of MLS. So trying to get the big names, the marquee players going over there, so you can build up the reputation, and then hopefully build this long-lasting legacy, which will hopefully filter down into what will be known as a good American rugby team.
That would be fantastic. I will. I'll definitely keep my eye on it. But kind of backing up to sort of like the return of fans.
Yes.
You sort of had an announcement in the supporters group #join. That England's actually been cleared for the non-quarantine travel.
It's rumored.
Okay.
I will clear this up now. It's only a rumor. So when I was browsing the web this morning, whilst Jack was up, I was still lazing around in bed. He needs his feed. And I saw online that there's some travel agents have built this algorithm or whatever to work out which countries are going to be available to travel to. So there's apparently going to be only 8 countries in the world that we can travel to. Australia, so not exactly cheap. New Zealand, still not cheap. I mean, to be honest, traveling to any country in the world right now is not going to be cheap. But USA was on the list, and I was like,
yeah,
DC, let's go.
Oh. So I mean, I guess with your timetables, what are you seeing, or what are you hopeful for as like the earliest you'd be able to get back here to catch a game in DC?
Oh, I mean,
with the Barra Brava, Screaming Eagles, La Norta, District Ultras, the Crew.
I mean, in an ideal world, it would be as soon as I can, which would be the announcement for travel stuff is apparently happening on or around the 17th of May.
Okay.
So that's when we'll know. We're doing, and I've mentioned this before on the show, but for you, Daniel, we are going down a traffic light system. So we're going to have green countries. You're good to go.
Yes.
You're going to have your amber countries. You're good to go. but you got to quarantine on your way back.
Wait. Oh, can we stop for a second?
Yes.
Wait. You just said amber.
Yes.
Is this how British people describe, stop, caution, go?
Yes.
We're with really?
Yeah.
Because with us, it's red, yellow, green.
Yeah. It's amber for us.
Oh, I had no idea. Oh, that's hilarious. I love that so much.
Oh, there you go. That's something new.
The British would have amber. That's the word they would use for that. That's hilarious. I love that so much. That's so good.
Epic. So we're gonna have amber, which is so you can go, but on the way back you have to quarantine for 10 days. But you can do that in your own home. That's key for this next one, which is the red countries, which if you travel there and you want to come back, you have to stay in a hotel, a government approved hotel at your own expense of around £1,750.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So you could go on holiday to India, which is already confirmed to be on the red list.
Yep.
But if you want to come back, you have to pay on top of your normal expense £1,750 to stay in a hotel for 10 days.
Man.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to leave your room.
Wow. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. It's just like, no, why would anyone choose to do that? I do not know. But yeah, so that is your COVID news.
Boy.
It's honestly, when I saw that rumor come out this morning, I was just like, my instant thought was, when can I go back? I mean, in all honesty, if it were, it probably won't be this year. Just because there's going to be a number of things that obviously playing. Obviously, my little boy, and then money. It's always a big thing.
Yep.
I mean, we're also potentially looking at moving house as well this year, so that could also play a bit into it. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how the tables turn and see how the cookie crumbles, and any other analogies that I can think of the top of my head, and see what happens. Because I missed coming out last year. I missed it so much. And earlier on this month, so it would have been 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
On my phone, it kept coming up with memories of 2 years ago on my phone, saying, "Oh, you were in New York and DC this time 2 years ago." I was like,
yeah,
I missed those days.
Speaking of memory, I don't know. I think it's the way we're just kind of winging it, but I love kind of like the free form podcast. But just to kind of talking about memories, and this is directly linked to DC United, but. Today was the anniversary of the map-free stadium fire. Happened in 2013, 8 years ago. I couldn't believe it. I lost my mind. I immediately texted my friend because I went to this game.
So you were at the game when this happened?
And this was the inaugural trip that we would do, because my buddy has family, or his family has friends in Ohio.
Okay, yeah.
And what's hilarious is he was a Michigan alum, so he hates everything about Ohio. Right, okay. So very big rivalry in the United States. Fair Michigan or University of Michigan versus Ohio State. It's a war. And we go down for this game, and gosh, it was great because it's about a 9-hour drive or something from DC to Columbus. And the whole way we had it plotted out where we were going to hit the best like fast food places like along the way. Yeah. So we would start out with, breakfast burritos from McDonald's. Then we'd stop in Maryland for Arby's, where I ordered 4 things of curly fries and just dumped them into a big brown bag. And then we had the roast beef sandwiches on top of that. We get to Ohio. We have a grill out and a kickabout before the game. So we're doing the whole tailgate thing.
Yeah.
And as we're kicking the ball around, just having a good old time, we see just black billowing smoke coming from the stadium. And we're sitting here and we see this happening and we're like, this is not part of the show. This is not, pre-game entertainment at all. And I want to say that thing blazed for a solid, I want to say 30 minutes until they finally figured out a way to, because they had to get a fire engine from Columbus, which is a bit of a distance from the city to the stadium. I want to say it's about probably 10 minutes outside of town. So there was already a delay in the engine coming to the stadium. And then they had to figure out, because it was weird how they did it or how the fire started, where it was primarily coming from field side.
Yeah.
So the fire truck obviously can't go inside the stadium, and they had to figure out a way to douse the fire from the wrong angle. And they just eventually got it to do it. But yeah, the DC fans were supposed to be sitting like right underneath the sign, and then maybe I think they pulled the trigger a little early on trying to off the DC United faithful, but no, they had to like move them over to like a whole different side of the stadium, and like it was totally nuts. But yeah, they eventually put that fire out. But then I'm thinking, okay, this might be a good sign that DC's going to come through. No, we lost 3-0. So
we burnt out on that game one. Sorry.
Nope,
the season went down in smoke, didn't it?
Yes.
Oh no, here we go. It's the data maker
fell into the ring of fire.
Oh,
and we went down, 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 and the flames got higher.
Oh no!
And it burned.
Yes, 2013
DC United.
But obviously this podcast is going out after the fact. So we record this on April 27th. Just so you know, we're not actually doing this live. And you're thinking that didn't happen on this day 8 years ago. It did when we recorded.
Yes.
So there you go.
And I feel so incredibly old.
It's just mad that it was 8 years ago. Are we going to do anything to celebrate 10 years?
I want to say 10 years. I want to say I want to do a trip to Columbus. I'm going to call up my buddy and be like, hey, we got to go and celebrate this. So yeah, that's a thank you for mentioning that, because that's going to absolutely, if you'll be there, I'm absolutely going to be there.
Yeah.
So
just take a lighter.
That's how we'll do it.
Just to the new stadium.
All of the DC. I think we should have typically Barra Brava and Screaming Eagles, they kind of combine to do bus trips up to kind of like immediate competition. So, Philadelphia, I knew they do. New York, I think, is about the farthest that those buses will go.
Yes.
But I think for that 10-year anniversary, I think they should have a solid contingency to get to that stadium, have everyone, do like a lighters, and just, if we can have as many songs about fire, to sing during that time, I think that would be a fantastic little memory to sort of having to hold in that moment. So, oh man, those were great trips. Oh man,
I do miss a good away trip. I mean, obviously I've not been to one over there, but I have done a few over here. I've been to Anfield, I've been to Goodison Park, I've been to Wembley on multiple occasions. I never saw the Borough win either. That was disappointing. And the one cup final we got to that I didn't go to, we won. Go figure.
How does it feel to, so casually speak of stadiums that are on, particularly mine, but many, soccer fans' bucket list or, dream?
Yeah, I mean,
privilege you live.
I know, right? Anfield was back in the 95-96 season.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I sat behind this guy who was, I would have been 7 or 8 at the time. Mm-hmm. So whether it was 95 or 96, I can't quite remember. But I sat behind this guy who was a fairly large chap.
Yep.
And I'm sat there and I can't see a blooming thing, which is great. Not exactly helpful. You wouldn't move either. So it was just a waste of trip. I ended up looking at the stadium roof and thinking, that's really rusty. That's the one memory I have of Anfield, and it's rust.
I believe they probably significantly upgraded.
I think they might have in the time since
that point.
Yeah. Goodison Park, my one memory of that is wooden seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old style.
They make the away fans sit in huge discomfort. Wembley, I mean, history behind that, because it was the old Wembley. So we had the Twin Towers, and I mean, that was to say that I've been there, and I've sat in different areas of the stadium as well. So I've sat right in the rafters, right at the back. I've sat very close to the pitch side. It's fantastic. And I've been to the new Wembley as well. Again, sat in the rafters for that one, and that was for a rugby match. Saw New Zealand versus Argentina. So I saw the haka.
Oh, nice.
The haka, which is just unbelievable. The fact that you're in this 90,000 seater stadium, you're sat right at the back. The players look like little dots, but you can hear every word of the haka crystal clear.
Oh, that's awesome.
It puts the hairs on your arm that make them stand, and it's just, it's so good. Where have I was? I've been to St. James's Park. I've been to a great stadium called Victoria Park. It's Hartlepool United who play in the Conference League. We're top of the conference. We're coming back.
Yeah.
We're coming back to the Football League. Where else have I been? I'm trying to think. I've been to a few. I've been to Edgeley Park, Stockport County, again for rugby, but not for football. I haven't been to Old Trafford. My dad has, though.
Okay.
He was in a box as well, the git. He went to see Middlesbrough versus Man United in the League Cup, and we beat them on penalties.
Oh, wow.
Which is awesome. That was the year that we beat Man United, and then we played Liverpool at Anfield, and we took them to penalties, and it went to 17-16 on penalties.
Wow.
It was such a good game. Such a good game.
That's incredible.
But yeah.
The only experience I've had is in stadiums for non-football activities. I went to London a couple times. Sort of went by the old Highbury grounds to make my way to the Emirates, and got to take a tour of that stadium, and boy, that's an incredible.
That's one stadium I have been to. Is I haven't seen the same thing. I've not been for a footballing activity, but the company I work for, which is a mobile network over here in the UK, we won't say which con, but I know you know which one it is now. They might be related to Arsenal in some way or fashion, but we had a conference there, so I got to eat some expensive food.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, it wasn't tasty either. It was just like, it was £11 for like a burger and fries.
Oh man,
like your classic, what you would expect at a League Two ground, burger and fries. I was like,
so not even the good conference food. That is, and you had to buy it yourself. It was
because the food that we got wasn't great, so I wanted something more.
Okay,
so I bought more. I'm a big lad. I was growing.
You're growing lad, yeah.
I'm a grown lad. I'm still growing. I might be 33, but I'm still grown. That's what I say when I'm shamefully eating. I'm a grown lad. No, actually, I'm actually doing all right on the food side of things. I'm actually starting to eat a bit healthier, and I've started working out. I've injured my shoulder. Classic. I have got a bit of a frozen shoulder at the moment. So send sympathy if you want, or don't send sympathy and just take the mick out of me. Do whatever you want in the comments. But there you go.
Is that part of the pep talk that you got from Losada?
I was like, he's going to need a bigger squad. I've got to work out. I can make it. I can make it. I know we've got 3 goalkeepers, but we need a 4th.
Boy, oh man. You know what? I have to say, getting back on topic, but I have to say one of the most improved players, or someone who, in these initial games, unfortunate what happened last weekend, but Chris Seitz has really kind of grown into the role. I know that's probably difficult, sort of being behind Bill Hamid, but I know in sort of like a couple years ago, he did not seem too comfortable, or did not seem super fit for that starting position. But I think he has really come up and sort of taken that position.
Yeah.
I really am watching him, and I think he's doing a fantastic job this season. Just real big bummer about the Revolution game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, the 2019 games when he was playing in those friendlies and the US Open Cup, very, very shaky. Yeah. Then last year when he had to come in and deputise when Bill was out injured, absolutely solid. Keeping clean sheets, doing what he needed to do. And then in the 2 games that he's had so far, the game against New York where he made a really good save in the 83rd minute, I think it was. And to be fair, he didn't actually need to do too much in the New England game because let me just quickly go through the stats on that one. So, and we'll actually go into it a bit more detail. Yeah. So New England's game, 50-50 possession. So a much improved in terms of for us in possession on that game compared to the New York game. There was only 6 shots each in total. New England had 2 shots on target. We only had the 1 shot on target. And then this stat is the one that really got me. So in total, there was 39 fouls. So you're talking around the ref blowing his whistle every other minute.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's one of the reasons why I think this game played out the way it did. It just felt quite frustrating. It felt lackluster, not much entertainment on offer. And the referee just kept blowing his whistle over and over and over again. And it just didn't let the game flow. And when that happens, you're going to get games like this where there's very minimal shots on goal. And possession, it's 50-50. No team really dominates. We were just unlucky with the Heinz Icon goal. Granted, I don't think he should have cleared it the way he did. But hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So, and it was just the one mistake, and it was unfortunately the one mistake that cost us, which Hernan pointed out in his post-match press conference. He said to the guys at halftime that there will be one mistake that will decide which way the game goes.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the way he said it, to me, that's the wrong way to say that to your players, because in their head, they're thinking, oh, crap, I mustn't make a mistake. So in your head, you've got the word mistake. And that's what happened. If he turned around and said, one moment of genius will decide this game, we could have gone on and done that moment of genius. And I think that's just a mindset thing there that will swing it around for us. So, Hernan, I know you follow me on Instagram, and I know you've been on my show. If we can just switch the mindset around, I think that I'm offering this for free. I know you could pay me. I can become a coach if you want. If that's what you want, I can become your mental coach. I'll bring Quincy along for the mental strength league. Had to be put that one in there.
Oh, absolutely. But hi Quincy. I know you follow me on Instagram. You're a wonderful human being.
He is an absolute legend. Hopefully he does well at Las Vegas Lights. But yeah, I think it's just a mindset thing. I think if we focused on the positive side of thing rather than focusing a mistake will cost us, a moment of genius will win this game for us, I think that the game might have gone slightly differently.
For sure. And you have to wonder where that game goes if DC United had the solid squad that they need.
Yes.
They have 11 players out at the moment or something like that. But
11, you're right.
somehow, you have Hernan kind of cobbling together teams. You have teenagers coming out and but um, all credit to Nyman and Yao, who have come out and done gangbusters for the team. Those are players who are playing heads and shoulders above where realistically, or I guess typically, teenagers would be at this point. So all credit to them and their hard work. But this team is really struggling to find that form. And you've got major injuries. I've looked all over the place trying to find timetables for some of these players to come back, for Birnbaum and Hamid and Areola and everyone. It's still somewhat up in the air.
Yeah. The things are from what I've read up anyway, and from previous knowledge, because I think they had some timetables back in the past. So Paul Areola, from what I know, is due to come back May time. So I think it's early May off the top of my head. Bill Hamid, I think it's a similar sort of time frame. I think you've got the Shields out injured. I'm not sure about Pint. Not sure what his status is. Who else we got out? Kamara's
Birnbaum.
out. Birnbaum.
Oh yeah.
Kamara, I'm not too disappointed about that one because he's not really hit it off for us.
Oh yeah, oof.
I mean, if you need someone to go offside, he's your man. But honestly, he's not had the best time in DC, unfortunately, and he's on the wrong side of his career as well.
Yeah.
So I think if he was to be released, I wouldn't be too disappointed.
True. And not to be disrespectful or anything, but like he did last season, during the preseason, he came out, he was talking a very big game. He actually was kind of taking the Zlatan approach of speaking in the third person.
Yeah.
And, at first I was like, okay, let's see what happens. He came sort of in the middle area of 2019.
Yes.
And so he did not have the opportunity to really hit that form and make an impact. But with the next season, you could say COVID was a culprit for that. But he is taking up an international spot. He has not been producing like sort of what we expected or hoped that he would do. And it's distressing seeing that. And you've got Sorga, who is very talented and very determined, but still, 21 years old, something like that, still very much a young kid. We don't have a true veteran leader for that segment of the squad to sort of shore up, sort of sharpness and that cutting edge that a striker really needs to have.
Yeah.
We had Rooney for a hot second there, and I want to say that probably Yao really benefited from kind of taking his tutelage. Actually, there was a really, really interesting article about Yao. It was in, oh gosh, let me just pull this up real quick.
Just while you're doing that,
what?
I've just looked at the roster details on MLSsoccer.com.
Okay.
We still got Helman Rivas, apparently. I'm sure he left.
Yeah.
But apparently he's taken up an international slot.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, carry on.
It was, I had it. Club11mag.com ran a really good feature on him.
Yes.
And he gave a lot of insight into just before he came to DC United, what was like for him kind of going through high school, but then being on this track to professional soccer, but also just, the impact that the likes of Birnbaum and Rooney and Areola have had on him. Fascinating read about the kid. You kind of start reading this and you're like, man, I hope he reaches like great potential. If DC can produce him to be like a, great talent who goes to Europe, who makes a big impact, that would be a great feather for DC's cap. But yeah, no, the man, like to kind of bring this into the circle, we have some players who are young, who are growing in maturity, but I think lacking some on-field, I think like true veteran leadership that like in to an effect like Birnbaum brings that. I think he's a player who is sorely missed, who I think can calm down the squad and keep people focused and motivated during the match. But we just need some players to come back. I think Areola, I think there's potential that he can really command a lot of presence in that midfield. I think, you move Gressel more central. I think that is a better position for him and have Areola on that right side, because then that gives Gressel options between him and Flores. Like I think would be just a really great situation for him. If you just brought him more central and just gave him more options, it would be, I think would be a better situation for him.
So in the Lasada formation, which is usually 3-4-3.
Yep.
So if we're moving Gressel into the center, now do you drop Knaus or Moreno?
Moreno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree on that. And for me, I would agree on it due to the fact that it seems like Gressel and Knaus have some connection. I mean, granted, they can both speak fluent German. So that helps. Not many players speak German in MLS. So communication-wise, they can have some secret messages going on there, realistically speaking.
Yes.
But yeah, it would be Moreno who would drop down. But then in terms of the bench, does that mean Nyman comes out?
I mean, having...
It's a tricky one.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was saying with these kids who have come a long way and are playing, like I said, well above their station where they should be. I think they're fresh, they're energetic. I think they're great options off the bench. For me, you want a senior squad that is a senior squad.
Yeah.
And like I said, not to denigrate or anything, because these kids have been doing great, but you want like a lot of, not only just like the physical aspect of the game, you want that mental capability as well.
Yeah.
And you only get that with players who have literally seen it all, been in all the situations, and you want that as sort of like the intangible thing that puts you over the top to win. To me, that will always win out. It's why you had like a player like Pirlo play late into his 30s. Because he always had that aspect and he could always make an impact, just, reading options and making smart plays. That's what you need more than anything on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to this weekend's game. The weekend game, which I will be up at 4:00 in the morning to watch, because that's how we roll over here in the UK. We have this lovely time difference. And the fact that it's been placed on the West Coast just makes it even better. And it got pushed back by an hour. So initially, it was a 3 a.m. kickoff for me, which is the awkward time, because it's in the middle of do I just stay up and just battle through, or do I go to bed really early and get my sleep? So the fact that it's 4 o'clock, I can go to bed at about 9, half 9, get 5-6 hours kip, wake up, and I'm ready for the day.
Well, to a degree, now aside from soccer,
Yep.
I am a huge Formula One fan.
Right. Okay.
And I had a boss at one time be like, "Who hurt you? Why do you hate America so much? Why can't you watch a normal American sport?" To which I said, "What, French person hurt you when you were studying abroad? What, did you get a baguette to the face? What is your deal?"
That's
years ago, sort of early 2010s, the Formula One just did not have the presence in the States that it does now.
Yeah.
And so they kept the time purely European. And so oftentimes, most of the season, your latest race was maybe 6 a.m. over, sort of like in their Europe, Asia sort of leg of things. Once things came over to Brazil and America and Mexico, then you could watch those at a decent time. But now that they have grown a bigger following, they have actually adjusted the times to be a little more amenable to sort of where we're at.
Yeah.
Unless you live on the West Coast and you're still waking up at 3 a.m. But
who cares about that?
No, not at all. But yeah, so that's what I would do is I would just get to bed as early as possible and then just wake up at whatever time and give yourself a half hour leeway.
Yes.
So just that you can hit the snooze button and maybe catch that extra 5 minutes, and then just or flip through your phone and just kind of let your engine wind up a bit, and then you'll be good to go for that game.
Yeah, I mean the plan is for me to get up at about 3-ish, so I can wake myself up, make that cup of coffee, tune into the pre-game show with Dave Johnson, Claudia, and Moises Linares, and whoever, if Dev's there or if somebody else is there, and then watch the game. So that's the plan. We shall see if it happens. Fingers crossed, I'll be all right. But yes, we've got San Jose Earthquakes this weekend. Just to kind of give you the rundown, head-to-head wise in MLS, we've played 10 games between each other. San Jose have won 3 times. We've had 2 ties, and we've won 5 games. And in the last 3, we've unbeaten. And that goes down to in the last game, it was a 1-1 tie. We then won 3-1 away from home, and then we won 4-0 at home. So we're doing all right in this one. In the standings, we're currently 6th in the Eastern Conference on 3 points. San Jose are in 6th place in the Western Conference on 3 points. So very even in the first 2 games of the season. Both won 1 and lost 1. San Jose just beat Dallas 3-1 at home with their 17-year-old scoring an absolute peach of a goal. And making a beautiful assist as well off the outside of his boot. So who knows how this one is going to go.
San Diego is a team that I think a few years ago you could probably easily sleep on and say, yeah, this is going to be a solid win for DC. But I want to say maybe it's sort of at the level at which the Western Conference has grown in competitiveness and overall sort of whether it's Moneyball or they have smartly picked up really solid talent over there from South America or homegrown or otherwise. They have done a really good job of fostering really talented players within those systems. So these days, I am less apt to say that DC can sort of coast through this. I think with Losada's philosophy, because it is starkly different from Benny Ball.
Yes.
It is way more aggressive, proactive, and I think that's a different look that can perhaps catch a team like San Diego off guard, or San Jose. I think that is I don't know. It's one of those things. New system. I think we're going to see a lot of inconsistency. Yes. I don't think you're going to be able to say for sure games, even against weak teams. It's going to be really tough to say whether DC United is going to pull through. It really depends, like Losada says, how much the players buy in, how quickly and how well the players' fitness improves. Yeah. Because that's been our bugbear for probably every season that I've seen DC United play is the injuries. Yes. There was probably a time, maybe more than 5 years ago, that they were consistently non-injury prone, or they probably had the lowest injury rates in the league. But that was back when like Chris Pontius was on the squad. That's a while ago. That's like 2012 area right there. So I ever since then, it always seems like there are at least like 3 or 4 key players who go down, and then they go down for significant amounts of time. Yeah. So it's going to be I think a difficult year. I think it's gonna, get your Pepto-Bismol or whatever you use to lower your heartburn out, because this team, I think they do have the capability to make an impact and have a good season. Yeah. I think they could potentially eke into the playoffs, but I'm not so sure about that. We'll have to take it kind of like one result at a time and sort of see how things go from there, and see how this team grows, from 2022 to beyond. Yeah.
That's it. It's again, when Hernan was on the show earlier on in the year, season 3, episode 2, just in case you didn't know this already, go and watch it right now after this. But he said it's going to be a transitional year, so you're right. There is going to be inconsistencies. I think if we can bring the fire like we did in the first game, I think we'll have a good game against San Jose. I just want to just point out the fact that it's a long travel, it's a cross country, so we've got to bear that in mind. MLS is completely different in that aspect to any other league that we know, apart from Russia. Yeah. So that obviously plays into players' fitness, and I just think we'll need to utilize subs a bit more in this game than we have done in the first 2 games, just because of the distance and potential fitness issues. But hopefully Nigel Roberta can make a start. He's come off the bench in the last 2 games. Maybe we'll see Kamani Smith getting some more game time. Fellow Englishman, yes. Still has his English accent as well, apparently, according to Griffin. So hopefully we'll start seeing some players starting to come back as well. Felipe was named on the bench at the weekend, just gone. So that was good to see. So hopefully he might be able to get some game time as well. I'm going to ask for a prediction, though, on this game. How do you see it going in terms of, 1, do you think it's going to be a win, loss, or draw? And 2, what do you think the score will be? Oh, I like that. It's the big question. Whilst Daniel thinks, put your predictions in the comments below, or if you're listening later, tweet them to me at DC United Kingdom.
Realistically, I don't think we win this weekend.
Okay.
I think there's a greater chance we draw.
Yeah.
But considering, just how ferocious San Jose seems with their potential striking power. I think, as much as we parked the bus last weekend, that ship needs to be tight for us to come out of this game. I just do not see the sharpness coming in our attack. I don't know how easily or how readily you can make the adjustments from week to week. Yeah. I think it's one of those things we'll have to see how that develops by mid-season to see how well the players have adapted to the new system and really find that cohesion up top. But I think these are going to be 1-0, maybe 2-1 slugfests for this early part of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree on that side of things. I think we're going to have some close games. I don't see any 0-0s this season because Lasada's never managed a 0-0 game in his career. Never happens. But I can see he's coming out on top. I don't see he's keeping a clean sheet because I don't think we'll actually be able to keep that many this season. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win because I'm Mr. Optimistic. Got to be.
So I'll take 1-1. What does this mean? What are we putting up here? Do I send you a local South Dakota brew?
Oh.
Little local flavor to give you sort of like that Midwestern cowboy taste.
Do I get a cowboy hat with it as well?
Sky's the limit.
But we'll have a little wager for the end
with whatever you send to me.
Yeah, we'll have a little wager for the season for the predictions because. I think shall I say we're going to try and get you on as many times as we can for this year?
I would be absolutely up for that.
Yeah. So we'll keep a tally, and whoever comes out on top, we'll have a little something at the end of the season.
Okay.
So you're going for the 1-1 draw for this one.
Do I buy a Middlesbrough?
A Middlesbrough jersey. Oh.
Do I get a kit? Do I go full kit? That if
I'll have to bleep that one word out, but yes.
Sorry. Do I go okay. Do I go full kit?
Yes.
Middlesbrough. And then do I just show off in all that glory? If I lose.
I mean, if you lose, I might have to get you a Tottenham shirt.
Now that is
that's a burn. That is a proper burn. I don't think I could be that cruel, but we'll have a little think on that. But we'll keep a tally of the scores. We'll do if you get the result. So whether it's a win, loss, or draw, you get a point.
Okay.
If you get the score line correct,
3 points.
You get 3 points in total.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like where that goes. Yeah.
And let's do it with you guys out there. If you want to join in on this, if you put your predictions in the comments on YouTube, or if you tweet them to me at DC United Kingdom, we'll keep a tally of your results as well, and we'll see who comes out on top at the end of the season. How about that? I might even let's do it. I'll give away a t-shirt.
Perfect.
How about that?
Ooh.
Let's do that. So you heard it here first, guys, girls, whoever you may be.
So we already established. Well, okay. Well, before we go on there, we established what happens if I lose. I have to.
Yes.
I have to don the Spurs gear.
Yes.
Where do we go with you? What's the?
So if I lose,
do I send you a Red Bulls kit?
That would be brutal.
That would be.
That's dirt. That's dirt. I will feel horribly dirty if I wore that, and not in a good way.
Yeah, you'll have to do the Eskandarian, drink the Red Bull, spit it out, like.
I mean, to be fair, I would spit Red Bull out because I despise that stuff. But yeah, I mean, that could be it.
All right, let's lock it in.
Yeah, let's lock that
We're
one
locking
in.
that in.
Yeah.
And
it's recorded for all of eternity on the internet.
So I am going to say it's going to be a 1-1 this weekend.
Cool. And I'm going to say it's a 2-1 win. Let's leave it there. Let's we'll end on a bit of a high or low, depending on whether you're on the winning side or on the losing side of this bet.
For sure.
So, Daniel, tell the good folks out there where they can find you.
Well, it's been a pleasure being on this, I guess, inaugural, 2021 DC United Kingdom podcast. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SDakota Soccer. And so my whole thing is I do a podcast called Soccer Made Simple. And essentially, I do a weekly run through of what's been happening in soccer for people who don't know, So, a lot of shows tend to be, you have to have that like referential knowledge to know what people are talking about. So if you start hearing about like the San Siro or the Bernabeu or whatever, that doesn't really mean anything to a lot of people. So I try to bring a lot of contextual information with my show. So when things are happening, this weekend, I'm going to have a show about the Super League fiasco and how that all kind of shaped out. But, and give some context to how all that happens. But, to a certain degree, it's not just that, but it's also talking, basic how to read the field, when you're watching a game, how to understand what the players are doing, what the basics of the tactical game is, what each player is supposed to do. Those are, typically things I try to run through. And I have a blog where I've done that. And I have that linked in my profile. And then I also do a newsletter that I send out weekly that just kind of, if you're, looking to get into it and you want to watch some soccer, here's some things that can help you enjoy the games a little bit more. So that's sort of the goal of what I do. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for having me on. And I'm looking forward to more of this.
Definitely. So thank you for taking the time out. I know we kind of arranged this at the very last minute, but yes, so thank you for making the time to come onto this lovely show over here in the UK. And to you guys out there, if you're following me on Twitter, thank you very much. But if you're not, it's at DC United Kingdom. Facebook and Instagram, it's at DC United Kingdom FC. If you want to buy some DC UK merch, you can do. The link is in the description. And if you want to come and join us in the supporters group of DC UK, go to dcunitedkingdom.com/membership. It's completely free to join. How about that? So, yeah, once again, thank you very much, Daniel, for taking the time out to come on to today's show. And until next time, Vamos United.